Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Self-Publishing Tips and Tricks Show, a series designed to give you insight into the world of self-publishing and marketing your books. I'm Shannon, writing under the pen name of SD Huston, and I'm here with my co-hosts.
I'm Ben Pick.
And I'm Morgan Lee.
And we're here today with indie author and poet Peter Okonkwo. We're going to ask him questions about his self-publishing journey and how he markets his work. But before we jump into the interview, do you guys have any news or points of interest that you want to talk about?
Not particularly, just normal weekly videos that come out every Monday night as Writing to Write.
Yeah, same with me. I don't have anything outstanding coming in July, but my sequel to my Seed Among the Thorns, Seed Among the Rocks should be probably in beta reader or editor stage right now. So that's what you have to look forward to with me.
Nice.
And for me, I'll probably be about a little less than a month out from having the third book in my first series that I've ever published come out. So hopefully I'm still having some good luck there on those sales and the entire series. And I will be deep into writing my next 4-book series and exchanging pages with Morgan, my critique partner. So now we're going to talk about our guest author. Peter Okonkwo was born in the southwestern part of Nigeria. He is a fatalistic writer, author, editor, entrepreneur, poet, soon-to-be novelist of Etienne's Destiny. He is also a certified orator from the Friendship Leadership Institute of Nigeria. His poetry collections have been surveyed as one that runs a gamut of emotion, religious undercurrents, the afterlife, and the mysteries of human fate. Peter is also the host of the P English Literature YouTube channel, where he reviews books and conducts interviews with authors around the world. And now we are going to add our guests to the stream, but with some connectivity issues, we're going to film our parts separately, so there won't be as much back and forth conversation as we usually like to have, but we are going to ask our questions and we'll let Peter answer them from there. Welcome, Peter. Would you please take a moment to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Thank you so much, Shannon, for the introduction. I really appreciate it. Yeah, I'm an author, I'm a poet, I'm a soon-to-be novelist, and the host of the P English Literature that you all know. So it's a pleasure. I really need to say thank you for inviting me here. I'm also an entrepreneur, and I think that's what I do basically. And I'm just a kind of a literary. I think I would love to call myself a typical literary man, if that would help.
Well, thank you so much for telling us more about you. Before we jump into questions of self-publishing and marketing your books, could you tell us what made you want to start writing?
A lot of things actually inspires me to start writing. A lot of things coaxed me to start writing. These are issues that deals or started from my own personal experience and the thing that I've seen around me. I grew up in a kind of society whereby the quest for human right, the quest for dignity is nothing to write home about. I grew up in a kind of place whereby people do silly things and they get along with it. I grew up in a kind of environment whereby we have terrible government. Okay, let me just put that aside anyway. So I would just love to say that most of my writing, or what actually wanted me to start writing, is the fact that I realized that I have a message to communicate to the world. I realized that I have something within me that people need to get to know. And that's one of the things that actually, inspires me to want to start writing and to want to be an author.
You have 3 poetry collections published. Can you tell us what inspired your poetry and about your journey to publish that first collection?
Thank you so much, Ben. Yeah, here are my books. I have Excess of the Dead over there. But here's my second book, Fate in the Dungeon of Doom. And I have here Whose Fault Casement Impediment. So these books, like I said earlier on, are mostly inspired based on my own personal intuition, my own personal understanding of some certain chronic, critical subject as that of the importance and the deep interpretation of the human fate, just as denoted in this book, Fate in the Dungeon of Doom, which is actually a collection of poems about fate, about fatalism, about quite a lot of theme encapsulated in it. So I have 3 poetry collections published, and most of the things are inspired based on my own personal intuition, and partially some comes from my own experience, while others come from what I've seen around me, what I've seen happening in my society, the negligence of the government, the issues with political instability, the issues with humanity, and how humans are often dehumanized. So all of these things is what inspires me to becoming a poet.
How did you make the decision to self-publish your books instead of traditionally publish?
Thank you, Morgan. The decision for me, self-publishing my book, actually came in a kind of a different way. I actually never thought of self-publishing initially, But while I was going to publish the book and I made a lot of research, I conducted or contacted some of the publication firms that we have here in Nigeria, and the price is just too hilarious. It's unbelievable. And I just thought within myself, because I actually mentioned, I messaged a friend of mine who I knew published his book through the Amazon, basically on internet. So with getting information from him, that's how I decided to make the decision of self-publishing my book rather than going with traditional publishers. And again, there are a lot of things that you can actually do self-publishing compared to traditionally publishing. A book that is self-published, you have power to control, change, put it anywhere you want, compared to that whereby someone would dictate to you and tell you that this is what you should do and all of that. Well, I'm not saying their advice is not good, but the level of authority that you get over your book cannot be compared together.
Would you ever consider traditionally publishing? Why or why not?
Traditionally publishing, I don't think I would love to consider traditionally publishing. Well, I don't know what would happen in future time, but with what I've got so far, I don't think they are very much that important, because I've already known the way. With what I got now, I understand very much more about publishing than what some traditional publishers do not even know. Sorry to say that. But if I should talk about the present status that I am now, I wouldn't love to go with traditional publishing, because self-publishing make everything easy. Amazon make everything easy. Ingress Pack make everything easy. So with the digital world, with the computer and the internet availability, it's pretty much easy to do anything you want to do in the internet space. So it makes everything easy, and self-publish. And traditional publishing would be something one would love to consider some other time.
Did anything or anyone inspire you to self-publish?
Well, I just took my time on it, Ben. So I wouldn't say anybody actually inspired me, but when I messaged my traditional publisher initial stage, because my mom actually referred me to a man who's a publisher. And when I get to message him, the price I was asking for is quite huge. So I think that should be an inspiration in itself. So that's why I just go on to do it myself. Though when I publish my first book, I don't know if I can still find it here. It's somewhere in the deck 624. I would have shown you what difference that I got in with this and the other first book. So I made a lot of mistakes. So that's how I got the inspiration to start publishing my book myself, because working with traditionally publishing firms or some publishers and agents can be so demanding. The cost is very high, and most times you just have to do things your own way.
As writers ourselves who aspire to get our novels out to the world, we value the insight of reviewers and beta readers before we hit that publish button. I imagine the process for finding readers for as yet unpublished poetry might be different. Did you find readers and reviewers for your collections before publishing, and what was that process like?
Thank you, Morgan. That's a very sensitive question. I love that. Like you said, finding better readers for poetry can be quite daunting. It can be a difficult task. And while I was doing my first book, or while I was publishing my first book, I do not even have a beta reader. It was quite, I don't even know what a beta reader is. So then, I think that was 2020. So I just went ahead and published it. But while I was doing this other book, Fate in the Dungeon of Doom, I get to know, the time snap between the publication of my first book and this was a little bit, takes a month. So I was able to make some research and get to understand how things work. But after everything, after I published it, then I watched a lot of YouTube videos on how to get reviews. So, on how to get better readers. And one of the videos that I watched by a man on YouTube is that, if you like, permit me to put this in now because it's somewhat a little bit extensive from your question. So in the video, the man showed that if you'd like to get reviews for poetry, because poetry is one of those genres that people are not very much interested in. And like you said, finding better leaders for them can be very difficult. So I took in the advice of that man. So in this video, he made mention that you should go on Amazon and check for poetry books. And whenever you pick anyone that a little bit stylishly relates to your what's it called, your topic or your theme, then you can click on the number, just check the people that left reviews, and from there you can click on their profile. Some of them are lovers of poetry, some of them are lovers of non-fiction, so you would see their profile, and some of them would even include links where you can contact them for reviews. And when I actually saw that video, I was like, wow, this is actually true. And that's how I get in contact with Cyrus Webb, one of the top most Amazon reviewer, and he even became a beta reader for my third publication. And that was actually connected with Cyrus Webb. That's how I got in contact with Mrs. Aden Lori Oluta, whom I interviewed recently on my YouTube channel. So I feel that those things actually help. Like, it actually depends. It's actually very hard because you have to look on Amazon and check for books under poetry, because I actually search for book under the theme of faith, under the theme of philosophy, under the theme of some things that has to do with this book. So that's how I was able to get those. I think I later on get 5 people. I sent email to close to maybe 20 or 25 people and I get 3 people responding back. So at least my effort did not go in vain. So it is very hard to get people that are lovers of poetry, and it's very hard to get better readers for poetry. Unlike if I was to take, for instance, if this book was to be a novel, I know people that are very much interested in reading novels, a lot of them, because I review books and I know what people really love. So it was quite very hard to get in better readers, and that's the process for Fate. And this also, I think I had like 6 people as beta readers, and that's how I got along getting better, though it's very hard. You just have to take your time, do your research, send emails. Those people who will be interested will reply you, and those who are not interested can get their way on. So that's the process like, Morgan. Thanks for the question.
You use YouTube and your blog as a platform to bring awareness to indie authors' books. This means that you read a lot of self-published books. Can you tell us more about that, and why do you do this?
Thank you, Shana. Following on from my answer to Morgan's question, it is very obvious because self-published authors struggles hard with reviews. That's one of the things that, people struggle with. Self-published author, including myself, struggle with marketing. It's quite very difficult to get your book out there, to find people who are interested in your genre, and it's just so hard. So as a mean of bringing awareness, because I have seen, I have studied, I have observed, and I've get to know and have my conclusion that most books that are independently published are very good, because I put myself in the shoe of other authors. Because I have books here clamoring and earnestly yearning for people to read it. And it's clamoring for, readers, for readership, because that's the beauty of being an author. If you have a book out there and no one is reading it, it's just as if, it can be somewhat depressing. And all of this is what I observed. I was like, if indie authors truly struggle with awareness, truly struggle with their works being known, why don't I just stand out and be a source of awareness to books that are self-published? And that's why I came up with the idea of starting up my YouTube channel, P English Literature, to specifically review books by independent published authors from around the world. And like you see in the about page of the book, I do not add anything about myself, because I just want the platform to be all about books by independent published author. So that's how I gained the idea and the likeness towards reading a lot of self-published books, because I am a self-published author and I have seen that it's quite difficult. Most people, including myself, struggle with awareness, and in a way, and with a way to bring change, I gotta let the change start from me first. So that's how the idea of P English Literature and me reviewing and reading quite a lot of self-published book actually come in place.
What percentage do you feel most people will have towards self-published books, which might decrease their interest in them compared to traditionally published books?
Thank you, Ben. There are lots of perception and misconceptions that people have towards self-published books. I use Facebook a lot, and whenever sometimes I want to, make some recommendation, look at this book. I think you'd be interested. Oh, it's self-published. I'm not interested in it. It's junk. So I think most people have that wrong perception about independent published book because they think that books that are independently published are trash. They feel that books that are independently published might not be well refined. I think I should use the word well refined instead of using the word trash. And they figured out, or they might probably believe that books that are self-published might lack in delicacy compared to books that go through the traditional publishing firms or whatsoever you want to call it. So all of this perception is what I think and believe that people have towards self-published books. Like most people don't actually love reading self-published book. You see a lot of readers, go with the bestseller books. Isaac Asimov, I'm not saying it's not good. This author, that author, because they are traditionally published or they have a kind of a much larger publishing firm that they get into. So all of this idea and misconception about self-published books not being well refined, not being well edited, it's one of those things that I think people have towards self-published books.
As self-publishing advances and becomes more well-known, do you think authors will still be interested in traditionally publishing, and what makes you feel that way?
Thank you, Morgan. I think that's a kind of question that are somewhat based on everyone's idea or what they would love to go with. But in my own opinion, as self-publishing advances, I don't think people were much more interested in traditionally publishing, except they want to go with marketing. Well, with me, I don't see the need of traditionally or going with literary agent. The only reason why I would go with traditional publishers or agent or any publication firm is marketing. And marketing itself is one of those things that publication house lacks. All they do is to publish your book and give it out there and leave it alone. So if a traditional publishers won't help my book towards its marketing aspect, then there is no need going with traditionally publishing people. Then I'd rather do it myself. Self-publishing advances, in my own opinion, I think it will get to a time whereby people, authors, or acquiring writers wouldn't love to go with traditionally publishing agent. And again, their fee is very high. Most of them are not trustworthy. Most of them are scammers. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to condemn any publication house. Thank God I'm not even mentioning any name. But as self-publishing advances, I don't think, or people might actually be interested, but in my own opinion, a good percentage of authors know how to navigate their way through the use of Amazon and Ingress Spark, because what you're actually gonna do yourself is what some other publication house is also gonna do. So why should I go with traditionally publishing house and give them their money while I can do everything in the comfort of my own home and on my laptop? So as self-publishing advances, I don't think people would be really much interested in going with traditional publishers.
As an ardent reader of self-published books, what common challenges have you encountered or that you find common among most self-published books?
Thank you so much, Shannon. That's a very important question. I have read a lot of self-published books. I have reviewed a lot of them. I've got a lot of people sending me a message back and forth about review requests. And what I can say about self-published books, the challenges that I have with most of them, good percentage of them, is editing problem. I think most people wouldn't take their time to check if their book has been thoroughly edited before going and publishing it. And another thing I do experience is the awkward writing style. I think most people are still novice, and self-publishing has made it quite easy that anybody who just wrote "I love Jesus" can just compile it together and publish it and said, "Hi there, I have a book, I'm an author." It's one of the things that I experienced with self-published book. It's the fact of the editing. I read a book by some India authors in time past, and that book was a trash. I'm sorry to use the word trash. It was awkward. I had to message the author and said, hello, I can't review your book on my YouTube channel. That book, did you ever submit it to an editor? Was it ever edited? It was so horrible. And I was like, I'm sorry, I can't review this. I can't recommend a bad book, because most of my reviews are seemingly positive, because I don't like reviewing bad books. I've gotten a lot a lot on my shelf that I do not review eventually, and I'll just send a message to the author. I said, I won't be able to go along with your books because of one reason or the other. I'll just make my reasons clear. So one of the things I would love to say is the editing techniques, which most people are still lacking behind with. It's the awkward writing style. Most people do not even know how to tell a story. They just go ahead with publication. So one of the greatest challenges that I've encountered with self-published books is the theme or the method of its awkward edition and unrefined writing style. Let me put it that way.
Besides writing poetry, you're working on your novel, Etienne's Destiny. Can you tell us about your novel and what your publishing goals are for it?
Thank you so much, Ben. Etienne's Destiny is a book that I've been working on since 2019 September, and I actually have a good publishing goal for it. I'm looking forward to probably give it like a 3-month pre-order. I'm looking forward to having it well edited, well refined, and it's my first novel, and a lot of people are actually out there, and I'm quite sure that most people will be excited picking up Etienne's Destiny, being the fact that it's my first novel and it's my first time producing a book that readers are much interested in, because I feel that the genre of poetry is more subjective. It doesn't have that large audience compared to the genres of novels. Novels have the opportunity of being read vastly by anyone, even by people who are not really interested in literature. So I really have a very good plan for Etienne's Destiny, and I got a good publishing goals for it, like sending ARC copies to amazing booktubers and amazing reviewers. That's one of those things that I would really love to do, and I'm pretty sure it's gonna be very impressive. Just need to get myself back to it and continue writing it.
How do you think your publishing journey will be different for your novel compared to your poetry collections?
Sure, Morgan. I'd love to make it very different because I've already got a grand base of experience. I've gotten to understand a lot of things about self-publishing. I've gotten to understand a lot of things about how to market a book. I've gotten to understand what readers actually love to read. And I just have a lot of different plans, because publishing poetry is quite different from publishing novels. The audience who will be interested in this are quite different from the audience who will be interested in novels. And I just have amazing plans ahead for Etienne's Destiny, which I'm ardently looking forward to.
What's your opinion about reviews? How do you react to negative reviews and criticisms of your book?
Thank you so much, Shannon. You've asked a fantastic question. Reviews are subjective. Reviews are personal opinions of readers who might vary from one person to the other. I don't take criticism personal. Even if you speak trash about my book, even if you tell me that it is rubbish, I will not take it so personal. And again, I love to say this, that if anyone, probably people who will be watching this, we're going to have a lot of authors watching this. If you're an author who would love to long career as being an author, then you should be 100% ready and prepared for criticism, either in the constructive way or in the destructive way. I don't take reviews so personal. They are subjective. They are the opinion of a reader. What A might like, another person might dislike it. I've got someone I know from the United States wrote trash about my book on Amazon. I think I woke up a particular day and I saw someone, a reviewer left a review. He gave the book 1-star review and asked me what was he saying from the thing that he said that I can still remember. And he said, and I quote, that I give this book 1-star rating because effort is also required creating junks. While I read that comment and review, I laughed so hard. I don't even take it personal. And to shock you, I went ahead and shared the comment on internet. I went ahead and shared with my friend. I said, oh, I get another fantastic review from the United States. This person said it's about my book. This is how it goes. So reviews are the opinion of readers. What someone might like is what another person would not like. And the same book that I got someone saying is a trash is the same book that I got someone telling me that, oh wow, your book speaks to me in volume. It addresses a matter of my life. And I was like, wow. As in, I'm excited. It's always exciting to have someone tell you such kind of feedback. And it's the same book that people say, oh, the book speaks to me. It addresses the matter of my life. As in, it's as if you're writing about my life. Whereas you have someone else who says it's trash. So reviews it's just readers' opinion. I would advise authors not to take it personal. I made a video about criticism in Time Facts, and I speak out my mind about it, and I just feel that reviews are just mere opinions. People who love it will be available, people who do not love it will be present. So that's what I got to say about reviews and criticism.
Are you comfortable discussing any publishing missteps or things you would have liked to have done differently about your books?
Yeah, Ben, the publishing misstep that I love to talk about is still on that aspect of finding better readers, because it's actually well, I know that audience are already available. Like, you just get that some people. That's how better readers are different from ordinary readers or the public or the masses. The masses are people that would get to come and know your book that, oh, he has just published a book, let me go and buy it. But better readers are people that you know that they are lovers of books, who you think that they might be interested in your book. So one of the missteps that I've taken is the act of finding better readers. They work tremendously. They work so hard. And I'm gonna, utilize that step in my next publication.
If you could only pass on one thing to aspiring self-published authors, what is your best publishing tip or trick?
Well, my publishing tip or trick that I love to pass on to authors is to just make their research, get their books right, and they should take their time, because it is good to take your time very well and publish a good book than rush into publication and eventually you let loose of a terrible, unreadable book. So my advice is that, get yourself together, find better readers. If you're new, do your research and walk in the step of people who have gone far ahead of you, who you try to imitate, who you look after to. Like people who have done things in the genre that you're just getting to go on. So I would so much advise that for, intending authors who would love to move into self-publishing.
Well, thank you for sharing everything about your self-publishing journey up to this point. Now we'd like to move from publishing to marketing. In our experience of talking with other writers and authors, marketing poetry seems to be more difficult than for other genres. So we're curious about what marketing you do for your poetry collections.
Thank you so much, Shannon. And that's just what I mentioned earlier on. Marketing poetry is quite hard, because the audience cannot be compared to novels. Most people love novels than they like poetry. So it has just quite been hard, though I've tried my possible best trying to source out and send a message to people who love poetry. So marketing poetry is just like finding people who are lovers of poetry. And Facebook has helped a lot. We have groups out there about poetry. We have groups out there for poetry lovers, so you can always navigate your way through and find people who will be interested in poetry. So talking about marketing, I've utilized quite a lot of means. I've sent my books to reviewers in the United States, many of which reviewed it, many of which do not even get back to me. I don't know why they did not. So marketing poetry can be a little bit difficult compared to other genres of literature.
What was the best money you spent marketing your books?
Thank you so much, Ben. I've spent considerable amount of money marketing my books, but I cannot really, point out how much I've spent. I've sent books to reviewers in the UK, and the US, and Australia, and Canada, and I've also, participate or get my books involved in the Amazon promotion, KDP promotion. I've also done Facebook ad, Instagram ad, and some other things. So those are the things that I've done so far, and those are the aspects which I've spent money on marketing. But I cannot actually mention what amount. I cannot recall what amount I've spent specifically, but I know that I've actually spent quite a lot of money just to get my name out there, just to create awareness of my book, just to let people know that yes, I'm a poet and I have books on Amazon.
What marketing have you tried that you would never want to do again?
This would be a kind of a difficult question to answer, but of all the marketing that I've tried, I don't don't know if it works for other people anyway, because I've heard a lot of people say, well, Amazon promotion is fine. But while I tried it, I did not really see the impact. I think maybe I did it wrongly anyway, I don't know. But I think I did a click per stuff rate. So Amazon keep deducting my money and I did not see the results. I was like, they just keep deducting my money and nobody's even buying the book. So I wouldn't love to go with that marketing anymore. I don't know, I've heard people say it works for them. I just think it's about the genre. I think it's about the genre. So some other people, it might work for them. But when I tried it, I regretted trying it. I end up stopping the advert later when I had to write them. I said, please cancel this, cancel that. I'm not interested in this stuff anymore. You guys are just taking away my money and I'm not seeing the effect of people taking action. The essence of promotion is for people to take action and, let them know that you have a book out there, not, just keep deducting the money and nothing is coming in refund.
Besides bringing awareness to indie author books, do you see your YouTube and your blog as a form of social media to also bring awareness to you as an author and to your brand?
Absolutely, Shannon. As I'm reviewing other people's books, people are getting to know about me. And again, people are quite curious and they were like, who is he? Okay, he's an author, he's a poet, he also have a book in Amazon. So I think the fact that I am trying to create awareness of self-published books, it's also a mean for people out there to get to know that I am also an author. I think it's like a other way around. It's like a give and take stuff. And that's why I particularly love to review books, to review poetry, because if you look at the genres of the books I review, I love memoirs, I actually reviews books in every genre of literature, but I love one over the other. And I love reviewing poetry because I realize that poetry audience can be very hard. So with the fact that, my blog is out there, my YouTube channel is out there, and I'm using it to promote indie authors, it's also a way for people to get to know me out there. It's one of those ways for people to get to know me and get to know my work. So I think it's the other way around. As I'm giving, I'm also taking.
Do the internet and social media contribute to your well-being of your poetry?
Absolutely. Internet has been a very good source of awareness. It's a great way for you to create awareness of your brand, of your book, and of whatsoever you're doing. So it has just been a very good method of creating awareness. So it's just a very good thing. Social media has really helped a lot of authors, including myself, in terms of promotion and marketing of one's book.
Do you feel that social media is valuable for self-published authors, and why or why not?
Sure, everything starts from social media. Social media is valuable for authors. Very, very valuable for authors. If you stay in take for instance, you're not gonna use social media. You're just gonna use maybe going into schools or marketing with your friends. You won't really get that far or wide. So social media has made things very easy for people to do. So most of the people that have read my books are people that have got to know about the books on social media. So there are people that have got to know the book through Facebook, through YouTube, something like this. So it's just a way of getting your books out there. The use of Twitter, use of Instagram, the use of Facebook and WhatsApp has been a very good means for authors to get a book. If there's an author who doesn't promote his book on social media, on any social media platform, then what are you doing? So it's a very good way. Social media has made things very easy. You get to meet people who are interested in your work. You get to meet people who would love the kind of thing that you do. So it has just been a very good source of awareness creation for authors and even everybody at large.
Which social media do you think works best for you and why?
Thank you, Shannon. I love to say Facebook works best for me. Facebook works best for me. Like, I so much love Facebook. I also have a group, the P English Literature group on Facebook. I think we're currently at 900 plus members. And I got 2 Facebook accounts. One with my original name, Peter Okonkwo, and the other one in my Chinese name, P English Literature. So I also have a page also on Facebook. And I also belong to quite a lot of groups on Facebook. I'm the moderator of the Goodreads Society on Facebook, which actually is a group that contains book lovers, and I think we are currently at over 80,000 members. I'm also an admin of a lot of groups on Facebook by authors. As in, Facebook is just the best for me. Like, it's the best for me. I belong to quite a lot of groups. I'm an admin in many groups, some groups, and also moderator in some other groups. So Facebook has been very, very helpful. You got people sending a message, hi there, this, that. So it has really helped me. Then secondly, I love to go with Instagram YouTube is a very good source of connection, and it has really helped the marketing journey so far.
There seems like an infinite number of resources and tips out there. How do you funnel it down to be useful for you?
Yes, I find the ones that are useful for me through Google. I find the ones that are useful for me through, when I check them thoroughly and I said, okay, this is gonna be fine, and I think this is gonna work for me. I find them, the internet is there. Google is a very good, also a good place for you to find information and resources that would best fit you and be of advantage to your work, your books, or whatsoever thing you've got out there doing.
Well, thank you so much for telling us a little bit more about your marketing journey. So we're going to move on to talking about your writing life and your works. So how much time do you spend working as an author versus all of the other writing related things like editing, finding readers or reviewers, marketing your books, etc.?
Thank you, Morgan. I do not actually have a time that I actually devote for writing. I think it's like a push. Once the force pushes me that, oh, Peter, you need to do something today, then I gotta do it. So there's no particular time that I devote. I cannot even remember the last time I wrote. Though I write anyhow, anytime. I'm writing poetry currently, so I can sit down and the word just come to my head. I pick my phone, type it down, then keep it to some other time. I'll refine it, edit it, and make it fit. So finding time for writing, it's pretty much easy for me. I don't have to struggle finding time. I gotta do it in all might and all time. And also finding time for editing. That doesn't really take much of my time. I got a lot of editors in my contact list. Then also finding time for promotion of better readers. I already have people who are interested in what I'm coming up next with. So it makes it a little bit less easier and comfortable with.
So what does your typical writing life look like? Like, do you plan to write for a set period of time every day, or like so much during the week? Or do you have like weekly or monthly or yearly word count goals, or just like projects you want to complete by a certain time period?
Thank you, Shannon. I actually do not have a particular, goal or time snap when it comes to writing. I do it anyhow it comes. And currently I'm working on my 4th poetry collection, An Escape from the Unseen Dungeons. I plan on publishing it by July 12th, which is actually my birthday. And I'm also currently working on 18th Destiny, like we've all discussed earlier on. So that's what I've got. And I think one of the reasons why 18th Destiny is lacking behind is that I haven't really taken my time to give it an outline. Like I've heard a lot of people say I should outline my works before writing them, that they really help, but I'm just gonna find my time and get to that. But when it comes to finding time, I don't have a particular time. I don't have a specific time. I do it anyhow, randomly, and it just keep going on well with me like that.
How do you stay motivated with writing? Is there somebody who pushes you along and inspires you, or is it the other way around?
I love to say that I don't even think I have a motivator. I don't think I have a motivator when it comes to writing. I'm the kind of person that don't really like to wait for people to push me before I do things. I gotta do it myself. I gotta self-motivate myself. And anytime I feel less motivated, thank God for YouTube, I just switch in onto YouTube and watch motivational videos, and that's how I actually keep myself motivated. So that has been with my writing. I published this book last year, March, and I published this one last year, August. So I don't really have, that's like 2 books within a year. I don't really have people having to push me or tell me what to do. And currently I'm working on the 4th one, so I just gotta do it. I feel that at some certain point I need to put another thing out. And now that I'm currently working on the 4th one, I got another idea for the 5th one, which I'm gonna title The Obstacles That Precedes Fate, because I love talking about the theme of fate, the themes of philosophy, the themes of obstacle, the theme of the different hard things that we human beings experience in life. Like, I love talking about the hard things. I'm not the kind of poet that that talks about love or what's it called, or anything related to that. I love deep issues, things that you will read and you keep mulling long after you've read it. I love deep words, and it's I think that would answer my question for that. I don't really have a particular one or person who pushes me to do things. I do it as the inspiration comes. I let out the emotion, I let out the words, and I let them do their thing.
When it comes to canon and legacy, how are poets across the generations informing your craft?
Thank you so much, Morgan. And that would want me to check in my Whose 4th Case with Impediment. I have Nico Gillespie, who is the author of Transparent Moment, and she is also the author of another book, she left a praise for my book, and she really loved it. So, and several other poets have also read my books and they love it. And I think it's been received positively. I see that it's been received in a nice manner, in a good way that even myself I'm excited about. So that's what I got to say about that. It's been received in a nice way, and I'm pretty much excited about the move.
Do you have a favorite collection of your published works?
Well, I love to say that I love all my books, though I do not really love talking about Echoes of the Dead because it has some grammatical errors that I still need to fix, which have been redundant about editing it. So I'm just gonna devote my time over to that and edit it very well. But of my books, I love all of them, but I love these two specifically because here in Fate in the Dungeon of Doom, this is a book that I wrote out of critical time. It is full of a lot of cries, it's full of a lot of pleas. It is hard, it is sad, it is empathetic, it is sorrowful. And I've got a lot of people, most people that reviewed so far were like, wow, this is so hard. Like, I talk about the hard things of life and I so much love it. And with this book being hard and it's out there, it's the motivation for me writing the fourth one, which is like an escape from the unseen dungeons. Now in my fourth book, The Fate is coming out from the dungeons of Doom, but I actually term it an escape from the unseen dungeons, and it's just so fascinating to me. And sometimes when I'm reading through the book, I'll be like, Peter, did you really wrote that? As in, I was reading to some week ago and I was like, wow, this book are very, very deep. I can't believe I wrote this. So I so much love Fate. I so much love the book, and it has a very ominous title, very kind of an horrific title. Now coming to Whose Fault, Kismet or Impediment. I also love this book because it's like a poetry collection that seeks to demystify the realness that exists between human fate and obstacles. Everybody on earth, every human being who has lived on earth has experienced obstacles in one or many areas of their life. And the discretion of which to navigate through obstacles might be different from one person to the other. And here I sat down as a philosopher. I took my thought to the highest point and I was like, why do we experience obstacles in life? What role has obstacle come to play in the life of a man? And I asked a lot of gnarly questions here. Even in Fate, I asked a lot of questions about fate in this book. And I just love these two books specifically because they are extremely philosophical, they are deep, they are profound, they might even bring you to tears. They are enlightening, and they are, I don't know what other word or adjective to use to qualify them. I just love them so much. And I'm working on my fourth one, which I'm looking forward to publishing in the next 2 months.
Can you tell us a little bit about what you're working on next?
Yeah, I think I've answered that question even within the interview. I'm currently working on the fourth book, An Escape from the Unseen Dungeons. I am currently working on the Long Etienne's Destiny. And so those are the two things I'm currently working on. I'm also looking forward to publishing a children's book. When the time comes, I'm going to do that. So that's what I've got working on. An Escape from the Unseen Dungeon, which is actually another poetry collection about spirituality, about dungeons, about demons, about it's a lot of things inside that book, which I'm looking forward to releasing.
Well, you've answered all of our questions, and thank you for that. Before we wrap up, please tell our listeners where they can find you and purchase your books.
Thank you so much. You can find me on Amazon by ordinarily typing Peter Okonkwo on Amazon. All my books will come up. And I also love to use this medium to also invite viewers to please check out my YouTube channel, P English Literature, and meet me over there. I'll be excited to see anyone coming from the XD Huston channel. So you can find me on Amazon. Amazon is the only place where my book is currently sold. I haven't registered with Ingress Park, but with Amazon, you can find me anywhere in every part of the world that uses Amazon, ships to you, and get a copy of any of my books, and I'll so much appreciate it.
Thank you so much for joining us today and giving us your insight experiences, especially for that is on a poetry path. And we look forward to seeing your book come out when that happens.
Thank you so much, Shannon. I appreciate that.
Thank you so much to our listeners and viewers. On July 15th, we are going to have A.L. Noor, USA Today bestselling author and award-winning Canadian fantasy writer with over 20 books. Goodbye, everyone.